Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are making a formula that is based on Initio's Oud For Greatness. I found this formula on a Instagram channel called Fragrance Drama. I'm often referencing Perfume Archaeology. This was on Fragrance Drama. It was a comparative analysis between Baccarat Rouge 540, Initio Oud For Greatness, and another fragrance from the company Perfume Sucks. Yes, Andreas Wilhelm provided this analysis comparing the three. If we look at this formula, it's a wonderful formula, and I have modified it just a tad, and you'll see how. But this formula is mostly woods, some mosses, musk, and amber. The core of this formula is a combination of ambroxan, Veramoss, Ethyl Maltol, and ISO-E Super. Now, if you swap out the ISO-E Super with Hedione, the same amount of Hedione, what you get is the core of Baccarat Rouge 540. So it's interesting that here, Initio Oud For Greatness, they basically start with Baccarat Rouge 540, or at least that core. You swap out the Hedione for ISO-E Super, and you start adding in more woody notes. I made this long ago, and it was wonderful. The one change that I made, first, I had to sub out a material called Sclarene 80, made by Givaudan. I can't seem to find it in the US. There's a supplier in Europe, but they don't ship to the US, so can't find it. So I swapped it out with some Vertofix. I probably didn't have to swap it out with anything. There's not much inside this formula. But the way they describe it, it's dry, it's woody, it's reminiscent of clary sage. I thought Vertofix will be fine. So the one addition I did to this formula that is not in the original that I found in Fragrance Drama is that I add Oud Samrat, a Firmenich product that includes a material called Oud Asafi. It's a spendy material if you were to buy that on its own. But when you put this together without the Oud Samrat, it smells a little bit like it's deserving of Oud Samrat. You smell it and you're like, boy, this could really use some Oud Samrat. So when I made this long ago, I swapped it in, or I just added it, and it was wonderful. Made some for my brother. It was, it was fantastic. He continues to wear it a little bit. So I figured I'd make a big batch and let it mature, and then possibly give it for some gifts as we move into fall. When we move into fall, because I'm not going to give this away as a summer gift, summer fragrance. So we're going to get this started. First things first, I already have my dipropylene glycol measured out here. I also have my Hedione and my ISO-E Super measured out as well. So we're not going to do those, but what we will do is we will start with everything else. We're going to start with the woody materials. And first off, it's going to be the one that we subbed in, the Vertofix. Now, for most of these, I'm working with the pure concentration, the 100% material. You guys know how I feel about that. I really dislike leaving material inside of the pipette, but that's okay. I got to put on my big boy pants and just make it happen. What I'm making today is 100 grams. 100 grams will fill the 4-ounce amber bottles that I have. These 4-ounce amber bottles will hold about 100 grams of material, depending on what I'm using If all of my solvents in here is ethanol, Perfumer's alcohol, then there's a chance that that maybe only 80 grams will fit in that bottle. But if I'm using heavier materials, I can get 100 grams in there. Next up, first, I forgot. Dry goods first, dry materials first, and there are 3 in this formula: Veramoss, Ethyl Maltol, and ambroxan. because ambroxan is the big boy? No, Veramoss is the big one. 11 grams of Veramoss. Whew. It's all right. We're still going to start with ambroxan. Got my nice 250 grams of ambroxan here. We are going to add 5.3 grams. I hope I'm not breaking any rules by having a couple liquids in here. Let's see what the damage is going to be. I've never measured out I don't think I've measured out this weight before. So I'm not sure how to gauge my half teaspoon scooper here. All right, so 1/2 teaspoon is roughly 3 grams. Good to know. So let's do another of this. We want 5.3. Okay, come on, Ryan. It's probably okay if I overdose this a little bit. Yeah, gonna keep going. There we go. Nice. Okay. Get new tool. Okay. Next up, I'm going to do ethyl maltol. Ethyl maltol or ethyl praline. If you're ever in a patent and you see ethyl praline, they mean ethyl maltol. I think this is really full. This is also 250 grams. Oh, it's okay. It's the Veramoss. I think that's really full. Now, what do we have here? Ethyl maltol, only 3 grams. Not going to take the weight for granted. Don't know what the volume to weight ratio is for ethyl maltol. Okay. Okay, it's similar to ambroxan. Ethyl maltol, of course, is sweet. Smells like cotton candy. Or if you're in Europe, candy floss. Smells like candy floss. All right, got one more. Veramoss. A lot of Veramoss, 11 grams, or roughly 14% of the formula. But yeah, I'm going to do a few scoops of this. Yeah. Still want to be careful. If I get too much in right now, I can't pull it out. So I'm going to be stuck with it. 11. Measure twice, pour once. We want 11 grams. Okay, getting close. Again, it's okay if I get a tenth of a gram over, but come on, baby. We are trying to be somewhat precise. Okay, I'm gonna wash this. We have our solids. We have our Vertofix, and a dipropylene glycol. Let's continue. Haitian vetiver. Sticky, icky Haitian vetiver. Oh, love this. It's green, it's woody, it's dry, it's herbal. It's wonderful. It's also thick. It's also thick. So, how much? 1.2 grams. Come on, baby. Okay. There's going to be a lot left over in this pipette. I'll bet you there's going to be a half a gram in here. Or a quarter of a gram. Lucky for me, just purchased a whole bunch of vetiver. So it's okay if some get stuck. It's the nice part about buying in bulk. Your cost per gram goes down. We're almost there. So whereas in the past when I was getting started and I would buy these 4 milliliter 4 milliliter doses from Perfumer's Apprentice, or the 5 gram doses from Perfumer Supply House or Creating Perfume, your cost per gram was, you know, at minimum $1. There we go, $1 per gram, you know. But when you buy in bulk, that cost goes down. Okay, I'm going to leave this actually. I'm going to let that sit to the bottom. Let me get that out of the way of the camera. Let that go down to the bottom. Boy, I just hate leaving that all in the pipette. Okay. Vetiver done. Next up, favorite material, Patchouli Dark. Six grams, plenty. I'm going to use a different one. All right, different bottle. Dark patchouli. I'm trying to use up this bottle, that's why. Save down on storage space, or save on storage space. 6 grams. Here we go. Can already tell this is going to be a nice color. Okay. We're going to save the Oud Samrat for last. But the next up we have Olibanum, or frankincense, from Somalia. I don't think it called for Somali frankincense specifically. You could use it from India if you'd like. But frankincense, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. I like the peppery, terpenic, lemony top note to Olibanum. That freshness does die off pretty quickly, and it smooths out to a nice woody smell. Next, Kephalis or Kephalis. Kephalis is also very nice. It's warm, it's woody, it's tobacco-y. And I'm using the last of this little bottle. It's about time. Thank you. Time for the big bottle, or at least the bigger bottle, 50 grams. So Kephalis, or Kephalis, if you know the correct pronunciation, let me know. But it's warm, it's tobacco-y, it's woody, ambery, warm. I already said warm, I keep saying warm. All right. It's good stuff. I believe I heard Aaron Terrence Hughes say that Cashmeran and Kephalis makes an oud accord. Just these two materials. And I struggle with the quote-unquote oud accord because I've smelled a few different ouds, oud reconstructions, oud accords, and to me they all smell different, like very different. Not like cedarwood, Texas, cedarwood, Virginia, Alaskan, what is it? Like wood 49, where they're all extremely similar. The ouds I've smelled are all so different. So when I smell an oud accord of Kephalis and Cashmeran, I kind of shrug my shoulders and go, oh, is that an oud accord? I guess. It doesn't smell like Oud Samrat. Doesn't smell like Oud Anoka, the Oud Synth, Oud Maleki, Oud Olafak, whatever ouds I have doesn't smell like that. So I guess I've got to get used to it. Okay, next up, Gurjun Balsam. Here we go. Gonna need to pick up some more Gurjun Balsam. This stuff is good. It is not, it is much more woody than the other balsams to my nose. So it is a little balsamic, but it's just woody, more dry, a little more like Guaiacwood in a way. 2.6. There's plenty of this in here. I might be using all of this. Okay. You compare it to something like Tolu balsam, and it's extremely different. Just because it has balsam in the name does not mean it smells similar. All right, almost done. I'm really enjoying the color of this. That dark patchouli, vetiver. Yeah, baby. It's gorgeous. Just wait till we add the Fir Balsam and the Cypriol, the Cistus. It's going to be good. All right, Guaiacwood. I just made a 50% dilution of Guaiacwood because Guaiacwood is solid at room temperature, and I didn't want to have to keep dealing with it. So I adjusted my formula, and now I have a 50% dilution of Guaiacwood. This Guaiacwood, I've noticed in formulas, if you don't dose this right, it seems to get stronger as time goes on. I recently made a version of Roja Dove's Vetiver, and there's a little bit of Guaiacwood in it. And I opened that up 2 months after the fact, and the Guaiacwood just kind of slapped me in the nose. So I took note. This stuff, it's smoky, it's woody, but it's smoky. So it's nice if you're trying to get that smoky effect, but without adding birch tar or cade oil. You can add this, but beware. Beware. Okay. Now in this formula, how it complements the other woody notes, the Cypriol, which is also smoky, the Cistus, which is also smoky, the Oud Samrat, which is also smoky. You've got a smoky vibe here. Speaking of Fir Balsam, Cypriol, let's get these in. Fir Balsam Absolute. There's not much in here. Oh my gosh. Smells like you're walking through a forest after a tree just fell over. Or maybe you just, oh, look at this color. Love it. I'm using a 10% dilution here because there's not much in this formulation. All right. Cypriol. Cypriol, otherwise known as Negarmotha. Okay, 2 whole grams of this. And again, adding to the beautiful color of this stuff. Cypriol is woody, it's smoky, it's peppery. Yeah. Definitely adds a woody smokiness. Spot on. Definitely need more Cypriol. Okay, now Cypress. Cypress Leaf. Wonderful. It's woody, but in the sense of like fresh pine, or if you take the, not the needles, but like the fir needles, and rub them between your hands, you get that piney Fir Balsam type smell. It's a lot like Fir Balsam, just fresh, a little bit more fresh to my nose. Okay. We'll give this a swirl. I'm not going to dip this. I'm not going to test this as we go. If I were to do that, it wouldn't really sit on the strip very well. For my nose, it's hard to pick up some of the fully concentrated materials, the materials at 100% strength. So we're going to let this go. But I know that smells woody. It smells smoky. And with the Veramoss to help smooth it out, and the Ambroxan to help smooth it out, those aren't even dissolved yet. So yeah. But the Ethyl Maltol, all of that helps, you know, definitely helps to smooth things out. Now let's add the more spicy materials. You know what? First, let's do our ambers and balsams. I would imagine this is more of an exalting agent than an actual kind of a core material, but amber Xtreme. This stuff is very strong. It's along the lines of norlimbinol or karma wood, but amber Xtreme, made by IFF, it's a bright woody amber. By bright, I mean it's like loud. It's just loud. All right, we got 1.1 grams of this. Okay. Next, Labdanum Absolute. Labdanum. It's ambery, but also woody and dry. This Amber Absolute is a 50% dilution. It comes as a 50% dilution from Perfumer's Apprentice. You know, my plan was to originally bottle this in some black bottles, but the color is so wonderful. I might have to throw some sunscreens in there and just put it in a clear bottle, because it just looks amazing. Next up, Cistus and Benzyl Acetone. Cistus, kind of a dirtier Labdanum. Labdanum and Cistus come from the same plant, but the Labdanum, I believe, is like an is that the right word? Exudation. It's kind of like the resin from the plant, where the Cistus is from the flower. It's a distillation of the flower. I will have to double check if that's correct, but that's how I remember it. Oh, that was perfect. Don't need to add any more. All right, and then benzyl acetone. Benzyl acetone is a lot like benzyl acetate, but something about the acetone, if you smell nail polish remover, Not that this smells like nail polish remover, but if you were to take benzyl acetate and just push it a breath into the nail polish remover direction, that's what benzyl acetone is to me. I suppose if you don't have benzyl acetone, just use benzyl acetate. I think it's close enough. Now, I can't tell you about the chemistry of making that swap, if it has some kind of chemical reaction consequences. That one you'll have to figure out on your own. But if you're looking for just something similar, because benzyl acetone for me has been hard to find. Okay. All done there. Now, let us add the spices. We have Safranal at 1%, because this is strong. And then we have some Safraleine, pink pepper, nutmeg, and Eugenol. But let's start with our Safranal. This is very bright, leathery, bright leather. I've never smelled saffron, or at least I can't remember what saffron smells like, but I guess this smells like saffron. You'll have to tell me. But this is very bright. It works well at a 1% dilution, or even 0.1%, because a little goes a long way. In this formula, 0.02% of the juice is Safranal. Okay. Safranal is in Baccarat Rouge 540, and it helps give this, it helps give just a little bit of top line projection, bright projection. Maybe projection is the wrong word, but it gives a top line brightness to the fragrance without having to add some citrusy bergamot or like lots of a lemon. The Safranal goes really well. Next up, Safraleine. Safraleine, I believe, was discovered when companies were trying to figure out a cheaper alternative to Safranal, because Safranal ain't cheap. And they discovered Safraleine. It's not as strong, but it's a little bit richer, a little bit deeper, but the odor profile is very similar. Okay, done. Okay, next up, pink pepper. Gonna need more pink pepper soon. Pink pepper, sometimes you'll see this in formulas as red berry. Red berry essence, red berry oil, red berry extract. Pink pepper, it's wonderful. You get the pepper vibe, but also this bright linalool-like top note. It doesn't have the gourmand umami food smell of black pepper. It's got a little bit more brightness to it. Okay, let's do our nutmeg. Such an amazing spice, nutmeg. Not much of these spices in here. These must be just added for a little bit of something, just to sweeten, spicing it up. Just to spice it up. Okay, Eugenol. Eugenol, one of the main constituents of clove, also in allspice, I believe. Eugenol definitely warms up your fragrance. Occasionally, if your fragrance is just missing something, and adding in citronellol doesn't do it for you, adding in Florol or Sylvial doesn't do it for you, try some Eugenol. Try warming it up a little bit. Okay. Next on this list, Cashmeran. It's a good bit of Cashmeran, 10% of the juice, almost 11% of the juice is Cashmeran. It's solid. I forgot. Got to turn on my nuclear reactor here. and heat it up. Okay, this will not take long. And we can move on to the rose oxide. Rose oxide, not much in here, because rose oxide is very strong. I have a default 1% dilution here. It's rosy, but it's bright. It's very bright, and it's just very strong. 2 drops will do it. Yeah. This 4 milliliters is going to last me a while. Okay. We have lavender, Tagete, and Florol. And then finally the Oud Samrat that we're going to add. But let's do the, make sure I have all these Florol. Let's do the Florol first. 1.3 grams. Wonderful muguet note. It's a little bit lily of the valley. Again, I'm not French. I should stop saying that word. Lily of the valley. It's very thick. It's a little bit, to my nose, on the sweeter side. But like all, or like many of the lily of the valley materials, it helps to lift the fragrance, provide some clarity, give some space. Come on. Almost there. It's very thick. Okay, good. Okay, lavender. Not much, 0.12 grams of lavender. Again, when you're putting in these kind of trace amounts, I shouldn't say trace, but if you're talking about 0.1%, unless it's something like Safranal, because lavender, let's be real, is not strong. And I added 9 drops to what will be, you know, I added 0.12 grams to something that will be 100 grams. Not much. So what is this really doing for the formula? Who knows? Maybe it's helping to complement the Tagete. Tagete, I'm using it at 10% concentration because there's not much of this as well. Tagete is I think it's magnolia, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check that. I want to say magnolia is in my head. Or marigold. Magnolia or marigold. Anyway, Tagete. It's wonderful. Floral, green. I'm getting this thujone type effect in my nose. Like a similar vibe to cedar leaf. But it's also a little bit green. It's aromatic. This is a top note. It is IFRA regulated. For Tagete, you can only have in 0.01% of your final formula. So luckily, once this is all done, this will be IFRA compliant. But it's still going to go in here. Tagete is also, I believe, in Baccarat Rouge, or at least for a couple of the GCMS reports that are out there. There's a molecule in there called Tagetone or Tagetone. And one could infer that given the amount of Tagete in the formula, that maybe that was the only molecule that popped up on the GCMS. Let's see how our Cashmeran is doing, because I want to do this before I do the Oud Samrat, but I might not get to. All right, that's working. The nuclear reactor is on, it's on medium, so it should be heating up quickly. Let's do our Oud. Let's do our Oud Samrat. then we will add in all the final stuff and we'll get mixing. Now, Oud Samrat contains 1.2% of Oud Asafi. It is woody, it's ambery, but it's also spicy. It's a touch leathery, and it's got this bright, don't judge me here, but I smell this and sometimes I think ketchup. Not that it smells like ketchup, but it has that, just got an edge to it that reminds me of ketchup for some reason. But anyway, if I were to smell what's in this beaker right now, knowing what Oud Samrat smells like, it would just be calling out to me. This is not a requirement for this formula. If you don't have Oud Samrat, don't sweat it. Don't feel like you need to add anything else to it. This is fine without the Oud Samrat. However, in the 0.5 grams that I'm going to add here, to my nose, it adds a very nice touch. All right, I can smell the Cashmeran. So you know it's about done. Knowing when the cookies are done. Because you smell them out of the oven, I can smell the Cashmeran. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay, Cashmeran, 8.5 grams. Yeah, we'll use this pipette. It'll be 8 draws, but whatever. While I'm doing this, I have to be careful not to push too hard out of the pipette because sometimes it will splash. And I don't want any of this juice to get on the pipette and then the pipette go back into the Cashmeran, and then all of a sudden I've got contaminated Cashmeran. All right, maybe one more big one. Let's see. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let me heat up my Initio Super and Hedione just a little bit. All right. We are done. I might not need to heat this up. Let's pour it in. But my scale is going to be maxed out. Yep, maxed. Should be about 7 grams over what it can, over capacity. Which is why I put the Hedione and Initio Super in a separate beaker. Okay. Now comes one of my favorite parts. The mixing. Put it on the heater. Put a little stir magnet in there. Turn it on. All right, I'm going to get some footage, get some video of this mixing. I'm going to bottle this, let it mature for a bit, and go from there. Friends, thanks for joining me. This stuff smells amazing. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you next time.